everyone. Welcome to Perspective for Parents. Today, we're so excited to have Gail Stein with us. You know, as I was thinking about Gail this morning, the word that popped into my head was patience. Being a parent, you don't have choice. It comes with the territory. But God gives us an extra measure of patience to some people, Gail, and certain seasons, like right now during COVID. And it's a gift. It's a great thing. And because it's a great thing and it's a gift because that's what we're called to. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 2, it says, always be humble and patient, humble and gentle. Be patient with each other. And so, Gail, we're just glad that you're here. And
thank you.
Just share with us how does that translate into your life?
Yeah, Lillian, I think patience for me is really just knowing when to take myself out of the situation. I know they say, you put your kids on timeout. I think certainly during COVID-19, I've been putting myself on timeout. So I like to call them mommy timeouts. And I go into my bedroom and I close the door and I kind of take some deep breaths. And sometimes I pick up like one of my meditation books that I have and just kind of reset. So that really has been the best thing for me, especially in times where, especially, with COVID-19, where everything is just kind of volatile and all over the board. Mommy timeouts have been really, really helpful for me to be patient.
We had, as a church staff, we had a speaker, a facilitator come into our group, and he talked about how this is us now in a crisis, and to just be okay with that. We're not always perfect, we're not always patient, and we might need more mommy timeouts, right, than would if we weren't living through this crisis. And that's okay, and to be okay with that, be kind to ourselves. Gail, for those of us who don't know you, would you tell us a little bit about yourself? And
Sure. We have been up here just a little over 10 months, so that's pretty exciting. We're coming up on our year anniversary here in Portland. I'm a Southern California native and have been in Southern California since 2004. And I have a son. He is going to be 6 in October, so he likes to say, I am almost 6. So that's what we're going with these days. His name is Zachary. And truly, I met Leslie, I think back in June over email. Someone at my old church down in Orange County, Presbyterian Church of the Masters, the head pastor's wife, her parents go to Lake Grove, and they really felt like that was going to be a good fit for Zach and I, and it absolutely has been such a godsend and a blessing. And Leslie and I started talking back in June, and then we joined Lake Grove, I think at the end of September, and I joined the MOPS group. Zach went to Noah's Ark under Susan Sullivan's direction, and we just have really kind of immersed ourselves as much as we can into church, and it's been awesome.
We're really glad that you're part of our church family.
Yes, we look forward to meeting in person someday.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday soon.
Right. So would you share with us then, being a single mom and having Zach at home, now that school is out all the time, tell us how your faith has been an important aspect of life.
I think, honestly, through this crisis, my relationship with God and Christ has gotten so much closer because he really is the only constant. There's so many ups and downs. Things change on a daily basis, whether it be like my work situation, Zach being out of school. There was just a lot of different things that were going on. And through it all, God has always been constant. And I think that the church has done a great job of pivoting as far as their online services and really this series. So it's so exciting to actually be part of it because I've been watching it from the beginning. And I think for a lot of parents, it's really kind of a hope. throughout the week. And since it's at the end of the week, it's a nice way to kind of go into the weekend. But I definitely found a couple things, I think, through this pandemic. One thing that my old church had shared, and I kind of wanted to share with this group, was the idea of lost and found. And it's a really simple concept that you can share with your kids. But basically, you've lost something, but then you found something else. So just to kind of give a couple of quick examples. We lost the ability to go to playgrounds, splash pads. My son is a huge splash pad guy, and we have been waiting very patiently for the splash pads to open, and they are not open. And just explaining that to him in a way that he understands. And what we found through it were awesome new hikes and trails. I mean, so many amazing places to go in our backyard and explore throughout Portland. And we've even found watering holes. So there's a lot of great places where you can jump in the river, albeit it's a little chilly and cold, but it gets the job done. So that has been really fun for us. Another one, I think, especially as a single parent, is I lost the ability to go to yoga classes, have dinner with my girlfriend, and really work on practicing self-care. And what I was able to find was other ways to provide self-care to myself, other than being with people or, taking exercise classes. I kind of reconnected with my small group from Orange County. Again, we started an online Bible study. By the way, if you guys are looking for a really good study, Max Lucado has this great study, and it's called You'll Get Through This. I really can't think of a more timely subject with the pandemic. It's got a little workbook to go with it. So that has been really awesome for me, as well as a MOPS online book club. So I've just found things that make me happy to kind of get through it. So, and then I think probably with all the craziness, that we had before the pandemic started, play dates, sports, whatever it was, running around all the time, I think probably the biggest thing for me is that I found that I really need to capture those stolen moments. And whether it's playing a board game with Zach, cooking, baking cookies together. We were always the family that was out and about and never around, and our Facebook was always blowing up with all the awesome things we were doing and going to. And now it's just kind of taking stock in the simple things and really kind of, holding on to those special moments that I know that we won't have forever. So I think that's kind of what we were able to do.
I love that. So it's such a practical way for us to help us what we've lost and what we found. It's not all a loss.
No.
Discover that. Go ahead.
I'm jumping in too. So sorry for jumping over, because I was so excited about the thought of it being lost and found, because that points us right to Scripture. We were lost and now we're found. And it also speaks to a child can grieve, and grieving and sadness is okay because all of our emotions come from God. But you take that and you acknowledge the lost, but then you also point to the hope of really, and the hope of Jesus Christ is our ultimate hope. But I love how you can frame that for a child who is even really almost 6. So.
Absolutely. And it can be whatever works for your family, but I definitely plan on, once the pandemic is over, going back and looking at that list and just kind of, and we just basically have, it's just like a piece of paper of all of our lost items and all of our found items. And I think just kind of taking it all in and realizing, in this season, what we were able to do. So hopefully that's something that maybe some of our families might, want to take part in.
And I love that, keeping a list of it too, because there will become another time in our lives that we will face loss again. A loss of a relationship, a loss of a person in our lives. But what you're doing is you're documenting, which they did so much, in the Bible, even by making pillars of stones. You're documenting that we don't live in the lost. We live in the found. And you're really doing so much to just lay foundations of faith for Zach, besides just surviving a pandemic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I know, Gail, that you already have prepared that you wanted to share a little bit more about what it means to be a single mom. And then also recognizing that Zach has some special needs. And so what does that mean, or how does that look in your house?
Right. So certainly from a single parenting standpoint, I kind of came up with Gail's top 3 survival tips. I think it's important. And I also wanted to give a shout out to all the single parents with Father's Day coming up, because the beauty is that we get to celebrate 2 holidays. So happy Father's Day to all of you single parents out there. You guys are doing an amazing job, and I celebrate you. So single parenting, so build your village. That's probably like number 1. I think it's really important as a single parent, you have to have solid people behind you that can jump in and help out where's needed. And certainly through this pandemic, I have definitely utilized my village in many, many ways. So that would be my first tip. The second tip is to give yourself grace. And I think it really goes back to what Lillian was saying before. So many times as a single parent, you just do. And especially with something like this where we have no control over it. Me as a single parent, I know what's happening in my world, how it's going to happen, what Zach's doing. And this really kind of turned it upside down on its head. So I think just giving yourself grace to know that you might not always make the best decision. There are a lot of times when we go to bed at night and I say, you know what, today wasn't the best day, but tomorrow's going to be a better day. And it's easy for Zach to understand. And so I think giving yourself grace is really, really important as a single parent, because you're doing an awesome job. And especially with everything's going on, you can only do the best that you can do. So, and then finally, practicing self-care. And I did watch Lillian and Leslie's perspectives last night. I like to watch it right before I go to bed. It's just a really nice way of kind of calming down and going into the weekend. And one thing that I've really found is that just carve out 30 minutes. If it's 30 minutes in the morning before, your kid gets up, or it's 30 minutes in the evening, or if you can manage both, then that's great. But self-care is so important, because truly, if you're not taking care of yourself, then it's going to be really hard for you to take care of your kids. So those would be the 3 things I would say as far as a single parent. For special needs, so yeah, Zach is on the autism spectrum. He has sensory processing disorder. He was diagnosed right after 3. So obviously being a single parent with special needs was kind of like, whoa, that's a lot, buddy. But I think that, again, you just have to really, really, with single parenting and special needs, I feel like those go hand in hand. It's pretty cohesive. So obviously having a great village. With that, I would say you need a support group. So I joined a Facebook group, Portland Autism Moms here, and it's been amazing. I've met some great friends through it, even through the church, and asking for help, which is a really hard thing for me to do. But when the pandemic happened and we were not able to go to school and do all of Zach's regular therapy, I really had to figure out quickly how I could make this be as normal for him as possible. So I reached out to many different people, advisors, different people in the medical field, to ask how can I best manage this, because online distance, isn't for everybody, and it was hard for Zach to do certain kinds of therapies online. So I ended up trying to take some of that on, but then find other vehicles where we could do it. And then finally, and I think this one is probably the most important, you always have to be your child's best advocate. Coming up here, it's an entirely different system than California was. So just really trying to get as much knowledge as I could, getting on Autism Society of Oregon, Fact Oregon, and just finding out as much information as I can. And really taking advantage of those services has really proven to pay off for all of us. So yeah, I think those are the main things.
Yeah, that's so perfect, Gail, because just going back to that scripture passage, Ephesians 4:2, it's always be humble and gentle and be patient with each other. And you just, I mean, your life, that's an example of humility, which is, exemplified in you seeking out help and building a village and not recognizing that we can't do everything on our own. We're not meant to. The Lord created us to be dependent with one another and to live with each other, to lean on each other. And then again, with being patient with each other. I mean, that's you. And I'm so thankful for your boldness and courage and willingness to come out and speak to us and speak to all of those who are listening, to realize that, that we can keep day by day. So like, I love how you said, sometimes you have a bad day and you just tell Zach, it wasn't a good day, but tomorrow will be better. I absolutely love that. And so for all of you who are listening in, we want to hear from you. Let us know how important these talks are for you so that we know how we can continue to plan forward. And we know there is a lot of options to choose from. So we are grateful that you joined us today for Perspective for Parents. See you next time.